And we're live.
Welcome back here for another episode of The Corner, hosted by Patrick, as on there with Patrick, and my faithful partner here, Troy Tortuga Frostrup. What's up, everybody? Today's topic is going to be the 5 best childhood games you can remember. So I'm going to just pass the torch here over to Troy.
Yeah, thank you. I think today's episode is going to be a little bit of a nostalgic episode. That's at least how I see it. If I have to reminisce over my favorite games from my childhood, and the very first, first let's actually just say a few words over what games mean to children, because I have a very interesting take, but I want to hear your take on that.
Yeah, my take on it. Games when I grew up in the 90s was way more social than what it is today, since we didn't game online.
Yeah, but when you mean social, that means more real life social. Like you were more communicating face to face.
Yeah,
right?
we were getting together. I had this friend when I was growing up, and I would be going over to his house to play something, or he would come over to my house to play something, right?
Yeah.
And again, this was very old school, because it could easily be that I just went over there and rang the doorbell and say, "Hey man, is Martin home?" Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or he would do the other way around, ring the doorbell and say "Hey yo, is Patrick home?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then it'd be like, "Yeah, he's in the basement. Just go down there." "Yeah, he's upstairs. Just go up there." Right?
Yep.
Something like this, or I would simply just call. We were using landlines back then. I know we still use.
I remember.
We still use landlines today, but I don't think that they are as much used today as they were in the 90s. Today, it's probably mostly call centers and businesses that are using landlines.
And by far not in the same to the same extent as we did it back in the 90s. I mean, I remember my parents had a landline that was always on this little bench. You could actually sit down, pick up the phone, and then dial. I mean, what kid today knows how to dial, how to actually press the buttons?
Oh yeah,
on the phone. In order
I
to.
remember that. That's you're talking about the one that you had to dial like this.
No. Actually, our phone back then was far more advanced than that. Even I have never had to spin the wheel. That wheel spinner on the phone. That was something that was in my parents' generation actually. But I remember. I don't think my grandparents even had that. They even had the new one where you had to press all the buttons. But still, it's that kind of phone is even still old now, because who actually presses numbers now? I mean, today you just press a name on your mobile phone, or on your cell phone. On your cell phone, sorry, on your cell phone.
Yeah, or your smartphone, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And if it's a number that you don't have, that you're googling or something, then it just comes up. Then you just boom, push the number on Google, and then bam, it's calling.
Exactly, and that's what people who are born past the 2000. That's what they were grown up with. They don't know anything else.
This was way different. And I even also remember me getting internet in the late 90s, 96, 97 or so. We actually got internet, right? We got the computer in the house. Maybe it was a few years before that. Can't exactly remember the date, but it was somewhere along here. And the fucking internet then, man,
Oh yeah,
Holy
you
shit.
remember the modem
Yeah,
sound, the modem router
yeah,
sound.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
wow.
It would
uh,
take like 15 minutes loading a damn internet page.
yeah.
It was
Man.
definitely not like this today, where you're like, boom, now you're on Google, now you're on Washington Post or New York Times or whatever.
I can actually,
No, man.
like for our, if there are any younger viewers out there, I can pull it up right now. We won't get copyrighted for that because it's like it's a common, it's basically already
Yeah,
public domain. So here it is. You can hear it now. Like I'm playing it during the next 28 seconds. This is basically, guys. This is how it sounded when you had to boot up a modem in the
yeah,
90s, in the late 90s,
yeah,
and it took like half a minute before you, or even a minute before you were even able to get in to the internet, and then it was slow as fuck. You
yeah.
know,
Then it would load
it
slowly,
was like
really slowly.
nothing compared. I remember my
And
mom. She was the first one because she needed it for her studies. So she got a 512 megabit connection. Uh, no, not megabit. It was kilobit
yeah,
connection.
kilobit connection.
512
Yeah,
kilobit
yeah, yeah,
connection.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. I mean,
Oh
like
man.
that was just and I frequently used it for like going online and playing Snake or something like that.
Yeah. Ah,
Uh,
shit, man. What a time. What a
yeah.
time, man. And you couldn't use the landline when this was on,
No, no,
because
no.
the modem would actually run through the old phone lines.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the nostalgia. But anyway, like I think for us as kids and for kids in general, games are a very essential thing, or have become a very essential thing in our society
yeah, yeah, they
nowadays.
have.
Because they
uh,
kind of like they're a way for kids to escape reality, because I think also kids today grow
Yeah,
up faster. They have to learn things much faster than they had to in the
yeah,
old
but
days.
it's also taking away like the social aspect of it, because if
Yeah.
you pay attention to it, man, then there is more and more games that is coming out today without the option of like sitting multiple people together at the same place to play, like multiplayer, right? But
Yeah.
it has online multiplayer, and they are doing this. The game producing companies are doing
Yeah, that's
this
true.
so that they can sell more copies of the game,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Well, yeah, and that's like in my opinion, that's so unethically unethic in a way, because it is they are only doing this to maximize their profits, of course, because they want to. It's this fucking corporate greed that is rolling in over our society, especially
yeah,
in the last decade, where it's all about these big companies who almost have monopoly on the market, and just want to cash in. Basically, the term cash cow comes in here, and
selling
this
most
is I think this is wrong. It's just not the right way to run a civilization, run a society. Like it destroys people. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, that's not what we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about our favorite games of when we were younger, and we've already done some preparation beforehand. We have both Patrick and I have taken 5 of our favorite games when we were growing up, and we can just take them like. Should we start with the 5th one and then work our way upward to our favorite game, or what do you
yeah.
think?
We can do that.
All
That's
right,
no
and then we
problem.
can just like cross over. So I'll start with my 5th favorite game, and then you'll do yours, and then we end up with
Yeah,
the first. So my
yeah,
favorite game was called Tank. My 5th favorite game. It was like a very, I mean, for today's standards, it was like. It is meager graphics. I don't even know if you can still like if I Google Tank today, like all the games that show up are basically already much better graphics than the game that I remember. Like this was a 2D game of basically just where you had to control a tank, where you had like a little like, what do you call it, a cannon on it, which was just like a little line that was moving around on a half circle, and that was it. That was all the graphics.
Are you pulling up? Are you pulling up pictures and info on it?
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
so,
I'll
yeah.
do that. Tank game. So if I just pull up like tank game, you can already see here. All these games that are listed here are already marginally ahead of the game that I played back in the 90s. Even though a lot of these games are actually from, this is from 74 actually. But even this is like, I don't even know what this is, but like, yeah, a lot of these games are definitely better. Better graphics. Let me just see if I can actually, if I just search for tank game and then Google pictures, maybe we have. Oh yeah, there it is. Actually, it looks this one, but this is actually a much more refined version of the one that I remember. They're like, they already got the fire button here and everything. So like this is already a lot more fancier graphics than the one I played.
Yeah.
And this was like a computer game that I played on a computer that my uncle, it was my uncle's old one that he used for his studies, I think. And it had 500 megabytes of space on its hard drive.
Wow.
It was like this old, I can't even remember what it was called. I think it ran Windows 92 or something. Yeah. Wow, so old, man. But yeah, that was my favorite game, or my fifth favorite game.
Yeah.
Good game.
Like my fifth favorite game was Super Mario 64. Came out in 1997. Like some of you might think didn't it come out sooner? Didn't it come out in 96?
Yeah, here on Google it says 23rd of June 1996.
Yeah, but if you look further, then back then shit was like released in zones, right? Each game was like decoded and released for the NTSC zone, which was North America and some parts of South America. I sent you the map there. And then you had CCAM, which was the zone for Russia and some of the old Soviet states and so on. And then you had like the PAL version, which was us, right? That was like you can see that the PAL version was like the vast majority of Europe was using that version. And this was always coming out later than all the others. And it also posed a problem back then. Like they actually quit using zones not too many years ago, man. Because I believe they still had zones for like PlayStation 3. Maybe, yeah, PlayStation 3 was like still zones. So you wouldn't be able to buy a game in America if you were on vacation and use it on your console that was bought in Europe. If that makes sense.
Like you did, like it was parted into sectors basically, so you could only play it on on one Nintendo in one country.
So anyways, back to Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Man, that game was great.
Yeah.
That game was great, man. Like it was the first game I got when I was when I got the Nintendo console, and just like a really fun game for kids to play back then.
Have you actually seen the like I noticed I think it was one of my friends who showed this to me. There was a dude who actually, like, a lot of YouTube speed runs have been made throughout the years. also with a game that I liked that I'm going to get back to. But there was this guy who made a 12-hour, or I can't remember, 12 or 14-hour speed run where he only presses the jump button 3.5 times. Go check it out on YouTube. Just search Super Mario Run 3.5 time jumping or something like that. And you may ask, why 3.5? Because there's a place in the game where you can like just where you can where you can hold down the jump button, but then you go into like a glitch or something that makes it possible for you not to have to release the button. So that's why he only had to press it 3.5 times. But yeah, there's actually, to make it short, there's a dude who's actually completed the game only jumping 3.5 times during the entire game. That's and like it seems extreme, and that's because it is. I mean, like for us, we just enjoyed the games. I mean, I never, with Spyro, which I'm going to come back to in a second as well, like I just enjoyed the game. I didn't like try to speedrun it in 2 hours like a lot of YouTubers had. It was just like part of my childhood, and that was the main point for me.
Yeah. Like fun fact there, like I also like remember watching on TV. I was like a major Mario fan, and like watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show on TV. like kind of like creepy if you like put it up on online, because like it's the cartoon, but it's also, you know, like kind of like real with like real characters, right? Like I'll send you pictures, and the beginning has like these two guys singing, and it is pretty much like only the middle-aged fat man who plays Mario who is singing in a dark voice, like, swing your arms from side to side, come on now, jump into the Mario.
Oh wow, like the most a grown-up adult version ever.
Yeah. Like, I love to sing along with that. My mother hated it.
Yeah, but that's just like when you're a kid, like it just you see everything so much more innocent in a way. Like
yeah, of course. So yeah, like moving on from that, like Mario was a great game, a lot of cool levels and worlds and stuff to do, and of course like the boss fight. The boss fight was challenging. That's always important.
Yeah.
So let's moving on. What was your fourth favorite game?
My fourth favorite game, as I've listed it here, was let me just check. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which was actually. Of course, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos on this as well in the later years. So it was a pretty popular game. But like it was also a 2D game, just like Tank, but much more like already, like as you can see here, it was released in '89, just like the movie as well. And we have a lot more options. Yeah, you can see here from the like this is a screenshot from the game where you actually have all these options. Like this was a very big selling point for me and my brothers, and my father even played it as well. Like we had all these options where you could like push, pull, open, close, look, walk to, pick up, what is, use, turn on, turn off. And then of course it was just like funny seeing how like the main character Indiana Jones would just like walk through the rooms and everything. Like it's just a very comedic version of the movie actually, but also very entertaining indeed. And I remember there was like a scene where he has to go through the sewers and has to find this this what do you call it, the coffin, the coffin of the thing. I was saying sarcophag because I played it in German. No, he was finding this coffin, and my brother would freak out when he would open the coffin, and there would come this fucking sound. And then you would see the skeleton lying in there. That's so funny. And to this day, he's still afraid of it. But that's like kind of that's kind of interesting how games can have that sort of effect that you just like can talk about for years.
I just want to point out it's not called a coffin in English. What you're referring to, it is a sarcophagus.
Then I was actually more right with the German word. Like in German, it's called sarcophag. And I think in Danish it's actually even the same.
Also in Norwegian.
Yeah, because it's like it's not a coffin. A coffin is like for the common man, like whereas the sarcophagus is more like for the Egyptians. I think were also buried.
The kings.
I could be wrong about that though. Like
the kings, man.
Yeah, the kings.
I don't think like the normal Egyptian was buried in it because. Man, like look at those things. There's like a lot of work in making a sarcophagus.
Yeah.
Like with carving in the symbols, initials, figures, outlines, polishing. No way, man, that everybody would be given that kind of treatment.
No, the word sarcophagus actually comes from Greek and means flesh.
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah, or like that means no, wait, the sarx means flesh, and fagin means to eat, so to eat the flesh or flesh eating. Which makes sense. Like when you die, you get laid in there. It's like the coffin, the sarcophagus is eating your flesh. It's eating your mortal flesh, kind of like a very vile way, but yeah.
Yeah, but that was just weird, like that they were embalming and oiling the kings.
Yeah. But I mean the Egyptians did it too in the tombs of the pyramids, like they were putting them in there and even putting like all these. Bandages around them, turning them into mummies. But kind of a detour now from that.
I'm just gonna say like one more thing about that. Do you know that they had a hook? They had a hook that they would reach through the fucking nose to pull out the brain to put in a fucking jar.
Wow, no.
like that. Because they would, remove the organs as well,
Yeah, I know that. But
all the things that go over.
I didn't know that they actually like jammed a hook into the mouth, and it was just like. Yeah. Wow. That's kind of violent, but let's move on to your next game. I think in order to not turn this into a bloodbath.
Okay, what was my next game? That was Wolfenstein 3D.
No, GoldenEye 40.
Oh yeah, no, GoldenEye 64. Man, that was a great game.
I think I played that as well. Like played that with a friend, and again, what you said in the beginning. Oh yeah. This is the game that I played when this is actually what you said in the beginning, where you could just go over to your friend's house and then just like knock or say, "Is Thomas home today?"
Yeah.
Because I wasn't allowed to play this because I was 9 years old or 11 years old. And my dad was like kind of strict with James Bond. I was only allowed to watch the Sean Connery and Roger Moore movies, but the Pierce Brosnan movies were too violent for my dad, or like my dad found they were too violent for me to watch. So I was only I was only allowed to watch Roger Moore and Sean Connery movies.
Oh man,
kind of strange. Now that I think about it, I mean, I don't know, man. Because I
Uh,
distinctly remember because I was not allowed when Die Another Day came out in 2002. I was 11 years old and I wanted to go to the cinema with my dad and his buddies, and watch it, but there was like because it was from 11 years old. No, wait. I was 10 years old, and the movie was restricted to 11 years old and up. So I was just 1 year shy of being able to watch it. That was so annoying.
Yeah.
So annoying.
Well,
Could have watched it in the cinema if he had let me. But I
well,
mean, in the end, I
like,
guess I'm glad I didn't. So like, it's fine.
I had no restrictions on that, and when I was like watching the Bond movies with my father, also Goldeneye, then it was like, oh come on, man, Patrick, watch this now that woman's gonna ice that guy with with her legs.
Oh man.
So yeah, man, that was the fun times. But yeah, fun games because like I love that movie. Holy shit, I love GoldenEye 64
Yeah.
with General Orlov and,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Because like the settings was just, I just felt like the settings was perfect in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
You know, you had like the Siberian, you had the station, and then you had like the tropics where they had that satellite thing and all that,
Yeah.
and great villains, great scenes. Like because like what did you have? Like you had the train where you had Boris or
No,
something.
I think I'm confusing it with The World Is Not Enough. I think it was The World is Not Enough
Yeah,
that I played.
the world is not enough is the one where they are on the fames and stuff.
Yeah,
But in GoldenEye, they are in Siberia, Siberia, tropics, and Russia and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But anyways, back
But
to the
yeah.
game.
Either way, like it was great. You could just like because I remember I played one of these with my friend Thomas, and I like went to his house one day and just like knocked on his door and said, "Yeah, do you want to play the game?" No. We were discussing it in class. Like, yeah, he told me, "Yeah, I have the game. My dad just bought it." Like, just like your dad, like he was
Yeah,
also like, "Yeah, Thomas, we gonna see how he ices this other agent now." And then he invited me back there so we could play it, and my dad was actually cool with it too. Like I told him like I played it, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, what you play with other guys, it was fine. He just didn't want me to play it at home." So
yeah.
I was like,
No, that was
yeah,
that was great. And you had the multiplayer version there, and then you had like the story mode and all that stuff. But you were able to like kind of like relive the movie
yeah,
by fucking
absolutely.
playing it and stuff. Now that was an iconic game of growing up.
Yeah.
Holy crap, man!
If you had watched the movie before, I mean, like I played the game before I actually had watched the movies because I wasn't allowed to watch the movies, but
Yeah, like no, like
yeah,
we had
actually, from my perspective, that was interesting too because like the game was much more. I remember like it was a surreal experience to watch the movie after the game because it was like, oh yeah, like this is just like what I did actually myself. Like it was like I see the movie now, and then I saw it as this was what I had played through. This was what
yeah,
I had already done. So like
yeah,
that was kind of an interesting way
interesting way, yeah,
to see the movie. But
yeah.
yeah, my next game on the list here. If you didn't have any concluding thoughts on GoldenEye.
No, I had no. It was a great game.
Okay. Yeah, my next one was the Crash franchise, specifically Crash Bash, but like I'm just grouping it under one as a franchise because like there was not a particular game. Like I probably liked Crash Bash the mostly because it was like a tournament. It was like a game of a lot of smaller games, and it was very useful for like having friends over, and you could just like play just one single mini game. You know, have you ever played Crash Bash?
Oh yeah. I played the Crash Bandicoot a lot and all
No,
those
not
games.
Crash Bandicoot. Like there was Crash Bandicoot was more story based. Like Crash Bash was more like
Yeah.
of a tournament game where you would have like these different.
Oh,
It was called a
okay.
warp room, like a warp room where you would get into a warp room and there would be different levels of small mini games. Like you could play pinball, where you would have like your own little space ship scooter or whatever the fuck. Yeah, like almost like these radio cars in on the carnival that you are driving. You would
Alright,
have
alright.
like that, and then you would push these pinballs into the other team's goals.
It kind of sounds to me like the equivalent to the Super Mario Party,
Yeah, I can like pull it up for
which
you guys here on the screen.
which was also I was thinking, yeah.
I can send it to you as well. There's actually a YouTube video here. Oh, I gotta close it now because otherwise we're gonna get copyright infringed. There we go. So this was the game. Like it's the kind of mini games that you can play in the game, and that was just wonderful because you could like. You wouldn't be absorbed into like hour-long gameplays. You could just like play one game or two games and then be done with it. You know.
Yeah.
That was super. Oh man, the nostalgia right now.
Yeah. I know, right?
Mm. Yeah, and then there was these two bad guys, or no, these two main masks, if you will, where there was this good mask and his brother. I don't even know if his was older or younger, but he was like his evil brother on the other side, like the mask. And they had like a team of evil guys against the good guys up there. So yeah, that was like, yeah, it was interesting, an interesting game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Then, like, the second most favorite game that I had of all time is Monster Bash, man. You're pulling up some pictures.
Yeah. Can do. No, you forgot Wolfenstein.
All right. I'm going to Wolfenstein 3D. Yeah, Wolfenstein 3D. Man, what a great game, you know. And that franchise is still continuing on today.
Yeah.
How insane is that, man? And this like started in what, like the 80s, beginning of the 90s, and it's still going on today.
Wow.
Which you're like your basic story where you are like what's the main character's name in Wolfenstein? Something like Berkowitz or something, Sergeant Berkowitz. And you know, Wolfenstein 3D came out in '92.
Yeah, I never played it, so I don't really know.
And it was an MS-DOS game. How funny! It actually came out on my birthday.
Oh yeah,
and
5th of May.
And you know, it was on a floppy disk, man.
It was and the funny thing is, I'm not even old enough to know what that even is because I'm from '93, so like that was even before my time. So
yeah,
you got to tell about that, man.
Yeah, like before you could even download games on Steam for the internet. Oh man, before we even had access to the internet, and CDs and DVDs and whatnot, games were coming on floppy disks. And like before, and you know, like, and also, like,
no, actually, I think I vaguely remember. I think I was like 6 years old when I saw the first floppy disk I ever saw. Like it was these. Oh yeah, right. I'm gonna pull up a picture for the younger people in this. Man, yeah, like it was this crazy disc which had this metal thing on the top that would snap back if you pulled it. I remember like I had a bunch of these old ones, and then when I was 6 years old, I would play with these metal things and like snap them back because they were like fun toys to play with.
3.5 inch floppy disks. Yeah. Before that, you also had like the 5-inch floppy disk, but even that one is like before my time. No, like the games that I started playing with was these floppy disks. And it was kind of like funny because I didn't have any fucking floppy disks, right? Okay, or games on them. But my neighbor had, like the guy I told you about earlier, Martin. Because his brother had like gotten them somehow for games, so I was like continuing to going over there to borrow them and going back and stuff because I don't really think that I had to have the game. I don't think I had to have the floppy disk in the computer to play them. I can't remember, or if I just had to install it and then play or something.
I think it's not like a CD or a DVD which has to be in there. No, like I think also you could like just download it to the RAM, or no, not to the RAM, to the hard disk of the computer, and then you could play it from there. But you also gotta remember, people, like the hard disks of old computers were not near what they are today, so they had very limited space. So
to 200 megabytes hard drives or something.
You were actually not able to have more than like 2 floppy disks on a computer, and then it would be full already, basically. I could be wrong about this though. I don't know.
I don't remember either. But anyways, man, like Wolfenstein 3D, iconic game. You're Sergeant Berkowitz or whatever, trapped in the Wolfenstein castle or something, and you bust out, and you gotta kill all these Nazis. And like if you're pulling up some pictures of it and stuff, it's just like insane, man, because you're going around and you got like big posters of Hitler all around, all around.
Wait, I actually got it right here. Like, wow, oh my god.
And all this shit, and then eventually and then like the boss at the end of it would like change, and like sometimes it would be Hitler himself with some fucking decapitated head and in some machine body or something, with like dual machine guns with unlimited ammo, and it would just take like ages to beat, right? Or sometimes it will be Goering who would be the bad guy with the head in the tank in the machine.
It actually, especially this picture that I'm pulling up right now, it reminds me of another game that I used to play as well, but I didn't play it a lot. It was like this game where you're like in a maze, and you have these huge walls that like move, and then you like every time you go into another corridor, the maze changes. So like it turns the walls, and then you have like a completely new corridor where there then could come like enemies at you and storm into you, and then you had to like in some versions of the game you have like a gun where you can shoot them as well, but in others you just have to like run around in the maze, avoid these monsters, and find like I think it was just like a triangle or something, I can't remember. Which actually reminds me of another game also, which was called which reminds you of Pac-Man, but it was called, what was it called again? Hitman. No. Oh, I can't remember what that's called.
Hitman 2. What was it about?
No, it was not called Hitman. It was called, I can't remember. It's gone.
Agent 47 or 47?
No. It's not a very famous game. It was just a game I owned at one point, which is also like, it's basically like a round. It's a 3D version of Pac-Man, basically, where you have this round sphere formed character that has to like make its way through the through a lot of through a maze basically, and has to like get a few objects and avoid like enemies. I can't remember what it's called. It's like
I sent you the video of like Hitler being the boss, by the way.
Oh yeah.
In Discord.
Yeah, I can watch that after. Like we probably get copyright infringement if we like.
Which was some menacing boss.
Yeah.
Buffed up steroid.
I mean that's just also like a testament to how many like things how many art forms that have been created that ridicule Hitler, and that's a good thing, I think. Like it's I don't share the opinion of my fellow Germans in Germany who think that you're not allowed to talk about the subject, because we have to talk about the Second World War, we have to talk about the Nazis in order to prevent it from happening again. But like that's what I think usually in Germany, like it's a very sensitive subject with Nazi jokes and that. Like if you try to like if you would make something like this in Germany, it wouldn't be received at all well, because like Germans hate anything that has to do with Nazism in any way.
Nazis.
Like if you just say the word Nazi in Germany, like you're being looked at as you're bad, and you need to stop talking about it, because it's like it still sits so deeply in the German spirit.
Man, that reminds me, that like this game, man. This game was banned in Germany when it came out.
Yeah, exactly. That proves my point.
So it was like it was apparently first, according to like this article from BBC News, it was first after 2018 that Germany lifted the ban on games containing Nazi symbols.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because it's still to this day, it is a very sore subject in Germany. Even though a lot of Germans during the Nazi regime were also against Hitler, but they were just too afraid to do anything. Like, probably just like people living in the US today, like nobody wants to stand up to Trump either and say, you don't. Sorry for like doing that comparison, but yeah, like people were just afraid back then, and people just like people are afraid in Lebanon, people are afraid in African countries to stand up against dictators in general. Like that was the same thing back in Nazi Germany, and that's why it's still such a sore subject today.
Well, they need to get the fuck over it.
Actually, I agree. They do need to get over it.
Anyways,
but then again, I'm only half German, so maybe I also know how to take it on it a little lighter, because I'm like half Danish as well. But like, I don't know, man. It's hard. Hard subject. Yep.
Back to it was a great game. 10 levels of killing Nazis. Upgrading your from pistols to I think you had knife, pistol, machine pistol, and machine gun.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, what a simple game compared to today, where you just have like Red Dead Redemption, and you just have this huge catalog of fucking repeaters and rifles and everything.
Million guns to choose from.
Oh man.
So you just had this to choose from, and then like you were just using this to like kill your way for Nazis for 10 levels.
Yeah.
And then you had to sometimes like find a key to get into the elevator or something to get to the next level.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
that actually also reminds me of another great game, Prince of Persia, which can kind of like be tied with Indiana Jones, which was also like the same 2D game. I can pull it up here for you guys, which I actually recently figured out you can download that for free now. Prince of Persia. I played The Shadow and the Flame. That was my favorite game. Because you could, like, there was a huge thing that you could turn yourself into the Shadow Man. Original. If you search Shadow and the Flame original, then you should come across something interesting where you can download it. Yeah, here we have it. Like, just a beautiful game, like where you had sword fightings and potions and everything.
No, I remember Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
That was
Oh, you played it
that was a
too?
great game. Now I didn't have it. I like tried it at some friends or something.
Oh, yeah,
But
here.
yeah, it's a cool game.
You can actually download it here at... oh, no, this is already a spoiler, which I pulled up here. Because at the end... But, I mean, like, this is a 20-year-old game, so, like, do you think anyone's going to be mad about spoilers?
No.
Like, at the end of it, you will turn into this blue copy of the prince, and, like, I don't even remember it, man. Like, it's so long since I played it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
So, and what's your number 3?
Number 2, because I already had number 3. You had number 3 too.
All right. You had
number 2 is actually, I was wrestling a little with putting Spyro on number 1 because I really played that game for like a lot of games, but that wasn't the first game. I put the first game on the first game I ever played on number 1. But Spyro was like my favorite game of all times, actually, or of my childhood. Like that game, it was like the sound, starting with the soundtrack. Actually, sometimes when I have to relax today, I still put on the ambient soundtrack of that game. And then I just like listen to that because it was just so calming and soothing. And basically what it's about is just like a purple dragon who has to help a lot of inhabitants of Avalar, I think it was called. Or was it Avalar? I can't remember. Yeah, some country, some country that is being haunted by this dude called Ripto, who is it's actually gotten what do you call it? Reignation. Yeah. So like it has gotten a makeover. So like they've updated the graphics and redistributed it now, so that you can buy the game again. It's the exact same game, it's just different graphics. And one of my friends bought those games. But yeah, very, very good game. And like I still, like to this day, I still have like nostalgic there's certain situations actually where I get a déjà vu almost, where I like get in a situation and where I think of this game, like I think of a certain situation in the game while I do something else in the real world. So like that's just wonderful how a game can do that to you.
Yeah, it is.
And then it was actually not until like a few years ago that I figured out you can, throughout the entire game, there was a glitch. This is in the old games, not in the new one. In the new one, they patched it. But in the old one, there's this glitch where you can just press a square. I played it on console, so where you could just press square twice fast after each other. Like you'd press square really fast, and then he makes like a special jump that is able to get you through the levels much quicker. That's like a glitch, which I didn't know when I was a kid, so that could save you hours and hours of gameplay. But I'm actually glad I didn't know that, because it kind of like made the experience as a kid much better.
Yeah.
So for me, that was just an epic experience to be through.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, and all these pictures you can see here on the screen right now are just from the reignited version of it.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if there's any pictures of the original game. Maybe if I search for it, let's just see. You can actually still buy it today. Yeah. This was the graphics. This was 1990 graphics.
1990 graphics.
Or no, actually,
man.
I think it was even 2000 already that it came out, but can't have been a lot into the 2000s. Came out in 1998.
1998.
Wow. So yeah, that's a very like that's probably the game that has affected me most in my childhood.
Yeah.
With all its, I mean, the storyline was great too. Like there was like, I don't even know if there was a love story in it. Nah, must have been very subtle if there was. Anyway, that was my number 2.
My number 2 is Monster Bash. If you are pulling that up, then you are playing this kid whose name is Johnny Dash, and you got a pet dog whose name Tex, who's been kidnapped or dognapped by the main villain of the game, Count Chuck.
Wow.
Right. So you kind of like have to enter the underworld with your slingshot and kill all these zombies, and on your path to save your beloved dog along with a bunch of other captured pets. And it is just 28 horror themed levels, like kind of like a monotone game if you're playing it, or happen to play it, but I still like put it up there because like it was, like nostalgic for me. One of the first games that I played.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So yeah, like not much other to say about that, except for fun game, and that the enemies were based on horror monsters and stuff. I want to mention like another thing though. When think about this, when these games were made, it was like 5 guys.
Exactly.
In a room, like making
it was like
a game.
A lot more independent games. Also another thing is, when do you ever see like 2D games come out these days? Like still
on smartphones.
On smartphones
with apps made in either some Eastern European country or India.
Yeah. But here it's all these like high HD graphics, very complex games that you see these days.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Terraria. I don't know when that even came out. That was like. That was 2011. Wow, that's also already like.
What a contrast, man! Because like back then, just like less than 30 years ago, it would have been the pioneers' time for gaming. Because you could like sit in your garage if you were a geek or like somebody that had like a interest for doing this. You sit in a geek like in a garage with your friends and make these games, and then you could just pitch it to a publisher and say like pitch it to a publisher, and you're like, hey, you want to help me sell this?
Yeah.
And you would probably you would get a yes every time because there was so few games that was being developed back then.
Yeah. And now
And then
now the market is completely different. I mean, the competition out there with
you know,
just
I
simple games. It's
I read an article about this.
yeah,
That like Rockstar has like 1,000 people working on GTA 6 or whatever, right?
yeah,
But even though you are one of these guys, if you're the coder or developer or something sitting there and making the game, one of these 1,000, and you get fired, you got like no guarantee that you will be hired straight off the bat when you're done with the game.
no, yeah. Wow.
Because that's how it works, like that you stay on for the period of the game, and then you might be fired. That's how the contracts work,
Wow.
right? For the duration of the project, I guess.
What a fleeting society we live in today.
Yeah,
Where nothing is consistent. Like everything can end in the matter of a year,
yeah.
basically. So yeah, wow.
So
I mean, nothing is stable anymore, basically.
I also read that like the people at Rockstar are
Yeah.
sometimes like forced to work like 16 hours a day, kind of like push through those deadlines and stuff.
Oh my
And
god.
and I'm
Jeez.
like thinking, what the fuck? Only in America and in China can you do
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's the same like story with Apple. Like,
Yeah.
how did Apple become so huge and succeed with Jobs and stuff? Because Steve Jobs, because that way of leading a company wouldn't have flown anywhere else in the world.
But it is also it is not just the leading, not the political leading of the country. It is also like everywhere in all of their TV and movies. It is always told to all Americans, you gotta push through, you gotta work hard, you gotta do this and you gotta do that and you gotta fucking keep at it in order to become someone and
Like,
something special.
I
And I'm
I'm not
like,
sure.
and like they forget that it is not everyone that needs to become something special. Like it is okay to actually just be substandard. It is actually okay to just be average, you know.
I was going to mention something here. I don't know, but like we can look that up later. But I am pretty sure that the United States of America has to have, like the highest rate of mental problems amongst the population
Yeah,
than
yeah, I
any
believe
other
that.
country.
I believe that because like they have they're such an extreme country, and we've talked about this a lot in the previous podcasts.
Yeah,
That they like they are so they're so spontaneous in a way.
yeah. And the way that Jobs was like running that company was that, like, give me results by tomorrow or the day after tomorrow or you're gone.
Yeah,
Like putting out like obscene deadlines, making whoever's working on what they're working on having to go at it for like 20 hours straight or something just to produce some results.
yeah, yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to like force people to work that kind of like overtime hours in Europe, at least not Western Europe.
Yeah. But
No
anyway,
way,
we're
man.
getting a little off course here, and
Okay,
also
yeah,
like
yeah. Anyway,
we're also sneaking
yeah,
up on
so,
an hour actually. So
okay, man. So, anyways, like Monster Bash, great game. Like
yeah,
Johnny Dash, smashing zombies, rescuing pets, and so on. Yeah, F428, horrifying levels.
yeah.
Okay,
So yeah. Anyway, my final and best game of all time. Although actually, I will say Spyro is probably the best. But the first game I ever played, and therefore also the game that stands out in my memory the most, is the game Kingslay's Adventure. And why is that such a great game? Because it is simply the story of a young little fox who like it's obviously a cartoon game, like a lot of child's games, like a lot of the games we've talked about tonight, of a young fox who has to become a knight prematurely in order to rescue the kingdom. And it's a very very child friendly game, but at the same time, it also has this very very like almost horror like actually quality to the game, because there's a lot of levels that are very creepy. And right now I'm looking actually at some pictures of one of the creepiest levels in the game, which is like a boss in the game that is I don't know, I think his name is Rex or something like that. Where the level, in order to get to the level, I remember my dad was playing this because I was like 4 or 5 years old when we had the PlayStation 1, and my dad was supposed to play because my brothers and I were not able to play it. So we were watching this, and it took my dad 2 hours to play through this creepy level where there was spiders crawling everything, and the scenery, as you can see here, is like very dark, even if it's a kid's game. So like and you're because the reason also why it's like so creepy is you're playing as this little fox who only has this small dagger, as you see here, and a little tiny shield, and then there's all these creepy big huge monsters around that are attacking you from everywhere, and boulders coming across you. I mean, it's just a perfect combination of like cute childlike elements in the game with a creepy as fuck atmosphere, especially for a 4 or 5 year old kid. So I mean, it's just beautiful in a way. It's just beautiful game. But then, and also the soundtrack is just amazing. You can Google it on YouTube. There's like all 25 soundtracks are on there.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful game, indeed. And it was like, I think I got my brothers and we got the PlayStation 1 as a gift from my grandma back in 1999, and we got this game along with it because she was like, yeah, I can't give them a PlayStation 1 without giving them a game as well. And then she just like randomly picked out this game. It's just, and then
that's funny, man.
And then it just became like this game that we played for like hundreds. I don't know, hundreds. No, probably 100 hours. Yeah, probably 100 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just fascinating, and to this day, I also listen to the soundtracks every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because it's just nostalgia in its purest form.
Yeah, it is for sure.
So yeah, that's my favorite game of all times, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking childhood games, of course. These days I enjoy Red Dead Redemption and all these other good games that are like, but that's just adult favoriteness. Like as like speaking as the kid I was back in 1999, I probably liked this game Kingsley the most. But I'm not a kid any longer, so yeah, it's moot now anyway. It's irrelevant.
It is.
So your favorite game? I'm looking forward to that.
Commander Keen in Goodbye Galaxy, which is the 5th Commander Keen game, I think.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm putting it up there as the number 1 is because this is special. This was the first game I ever motherfucking played.
Yeah, just like me and Kingsley, except that I didn't play the game, and it was my father who played it for me, but I watched.
Yeah.
But you actually played this game.
I actually played this game.
How old were you?
It was on the first 9, 8, something. Maybe like somewhere between 7 and 9. because this is when we first got our first stationary computer in the house, man. And then this was on it.
That must have been 97 then. That was around the same time as I started to play Kingsley as well.
Yeah.
2 years before.
Probably around that, yeah, 96, 97.
Yeah.
Where you
A little before, 2 years before, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Where it is like essentially like a 2-part episode, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like Commander Keen 4, then you're like on a planet or something, and then it is like a world, different worlds and stuff there that you are fighting in. You're pulling up some pictures.
Yeah, I have the pictures right here, so you can see them.
But in the 5th one, this one, then you are in a spaceship and just like fighting machines, or fighting your way through machines, getting through levels and stuff. Pretty simple stuff, like nothing that really needs like nothing that's a brain twister to get past.
I see they're both like these 2D levels, these typical 2D levels where you see it from the side, but then there's also like a very vertical map where you like have to go upwards.
Yeah.
I can probably send it to you over Discord so you can see what I'm talking about as we are on the go here. I sent it to you.
Okay, I'm just gonna read up. I'm just gonna read up something from Wikipedia here. So this game is like broken into 2 episodes, where you have like the Secret of the Oracle, which is the 4th game, and then the Armageddon Machine. And in the first episode, having defeated the Grand Intellect in Invasion of the Vorticons and saved Earth, 8-year-old kid genius Billy Blaze is building a faster-than-light communications radio. Upon completing it, he hears transmissions announcing that a race of aliens known as the Shikadi are planning to destroy the entire galaxy. The Shikadi is, by the way, like the robots and shit that you're battling in the 5th game. Donning his helmet as Commander Keen, he takes off in his spaceship, stunning his parents with his neural stunner gun as they call him to dinner for the planet Gnosticus 4. home of the Oracle and Gnosticans attended to find out that the Shikadi are, and how to find out who the Shikadi are and how they plan to destroy the galaxy. Like, I don't know if I need to read.
It's not more ridiculous than the Carrot Castle in Kingsley.
So eventually, the Oracle tells Keen that the Shikadi are shadow beings from the far side of the galaxy, who are building an Armageddon machine at Cora 3 to blow up the galaxy and rebuild it as they wish afterwards. As the episode ends, Keen sets off to stop them. That's the end of like the 4th game. So like you gotta like think that how much fucking weed were these guys smoking when they came up with this? Because this isn't shit that just randomly pops in your head.
It's developed by ID Software.
Yeah. So then you like have the 5th game that I'm talking about, where you journey through this gigantic Armageddon machine space station while destroying.
Oh, sorry for interrupting. It's the same guys who developed Doom in '93.
Yeah, I know.
And Rage and Wolfenstein. Wow.
Destroying subsystems of the machine located in each level. I mean, like, look up the picture of that guy, John Romero, who's in all of these games. I mean, like, that guy gotta be for sure on some heavy shit, huh?
What John, what is his name? John
Romero. After Keen reaches the final level and destroys the Quanticum Explosion Dynamo, the Shikadi flee the station, and Keen looks in the control room to find out why the Shikadi wanted to destroy the galaxy so bad. There he finds a note written in the series standard galactic alphabet cipher from the final boss of the Vortigon's trilogy. His school rival Mortimer McMire, whose IQ is a single point higher than Commander Keen. The note tells Keen that the McMire killed in the previous game was an android replica that the yes, pronunciation is a mispronunciation of grand intellect. Like, that sounds like somebody that's being drunk and like, oh man, that would be a cool word, alien word to call grand intellect.
Yeah.
His title from the first trilogy, and that Armageddon machine was itself a distraction, as McMire plans to destroy the entire universe instead.
Wow.
As Keen leaves the command center, the game screen focuses on an abandoned football helmet in the room like Keen's, with 2 M's on it. Ooh.
Wow.
Serious.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that like if you didn't have anything more that like apart from just reading aloud, because like you can also like anyone who like all our viewers or listeners here, you can just like go in and read this yourself as well. But like to conclude this little session here of favorite nostalgia games of all time, I think it's fair to say that both of our preferences in games are quite different, but also quite unique in our own way. And I think that is a very interesting point, and very important point actually when we're talking about childhood games, nostalgic childhood games, is that every person who lived during the 90s and during the 80s as well has their own like composite of these special games that are important to you and that like somehow mean something to you, and that you still can recall to this day in your personal life and in your professional life even. Like it's sometimes when I sit and write a task for university that I've been sitting there and thought of these games actually and gotten nostalgic in that moment. And I think that every one of us, we have this very unique compound of games that is our own. And I think that's very important to hold on to, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
If you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like I struggled with like not putting Red Alert Command and Conquer, Red Alert 2, or Warcraft 2 on the top there.
Yeah.
Because that was also 2 great games.
Yeah.
But,
actually, I remember Red Alert. I used to play that, but I was a little older then. I was like probably 12, or was I 11?
Yeah,
I was 11 or 12 when I played.
Like 15. I was 15 when I played the Red Alert 2.
I played the second one. I remember. I remember I wasn't allowed to have that in my home as well, but I played it in the. In Denmark, there's something called. You probably have it in Norway too. There's something called a after school. A place where you go after school to hang out with your friends. Yeah. It's called the fritidshjem. Spare time home, basically.
In Norway, we just call that for klubben, which means.
Actually, I gotta ask my roommate's girlfriend about that. She's also from Norway, like if that's true. But like, I believe you. But I gotta bring that up.
This was in my my hometown though, in my elementary school. Then we had klubben. It's in the club.
It just sounds so interesting, like klubben. By the way, in English that would be the crib. So basically,
the club.
Oh, the club.
And And you know,
No,
like
but like
it was like
a crib in Danish, you have the in Danish the word crib means the crib, like a crib that
no,
you
no,
put.
no, no,
That,
no. No,
that,
I mean like club with an L, club.
okay, yeah, okay,
Right.
that makes more sense. That makes more sense.
Uh, and you know, like it was like kind of cool because it was just like built in the bomb shelter under the school, or just
In the what?
because we had
In the
bomb
bomb
shelter.
shelter?
Yeah, bomb shelters was like built like there was like a shit ton of bomb shelters under my hometown, and you
Wow.
know, like a bunch of them abandoned, a bunch of them sealed off, and a bunch under like every school or something has bomb shelters under it, at least the elementary schools, and
Yeah.
and then like I guess somebody has like thought like, why the fuck don't we use the bomb shelter under the school for like the kids to have a club in anyways. So that was like kind of like fun, like did you go for fucking blast doors
Yeah.
to play billiard and drink Kool-Aid and
Wow.
read books or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Oh
it was
man.
it was the same in like another neighboring school, a couple of miles away. They also had like something similar.
Yeah.
Um, but no, we didn't actually have computers there. We did like have computers at school
I
though.
mean, we also
But
didn't have like it was a big thing, you know. You actually had to write just. We had two computers, and you had to write yourself up on a list in order to play. And of course, that list was always full. Like there was at least 10 names every time,
oh
so
man,
you wouldn't even bother.
uh,
I wouldn't even bother
yeah,
to do it because I was always too slow. But
man, I
yeah,
want to end. I want to just end it like on that note that you're saying there. I want to end it with that we also had like computers in the bomb shelter. Yeah, again, the bomb shelter of the high school. Like it was like 2 3 computers there. Like nobody used because they were fucking ancient. So I would go down there and I would plug in like an external hard drive of like a terabyte or something.
yeah.
Leave it behind the fucking computer, and then just like hit the download button on a torrent, and torrent hundreds of gigabytes of like Clint Eastwood movies, Tommy Lee Jones movies, like every movie that I could figure,
Wow. But
and
wow, seriously though, like you knew how to torrent back then. I mean, I didn't figure out
yeah,
how to torrent
yeah,
before I was like 15 or
this
something like
was
that.
this was
I was kind of slow in that sense.
this was 05, 06. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 04, 05. Yeah, I knew how to torrent back then. Um, so yeah, I would just leave that, and everybody would be complaining, like, why is the school's internet so shit?
Wow.
And then like, you just hit me like, oh shit, man, I should adjust the speed of this, because it was just going down, like maximizing the speed down.
Mm.
Also, like I changed it to like like half speed or something, so it would just fucking
So
hijack that.
so it wouldn't fluctuate, so that they wouldn't notice it.
Yeah, so it would like flux because I was like thinking if I leave like my hard drive there with hundreds of gigabytes of movies being downloaded onto it, it's only a matter of time before they will get somebody that is IT competent enough to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Uh,
I sorted that, and I was able to walk home with a big fat folder on the hard drive with movies.
yeah.
So one
Wow.
of them was called like all Clint Eastwood movies or something. So I've seen a lot of movies, but anyways, that's a story for another time.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
actually funny. Like I like this topic because I mean, and you can also see
yeah,
it on the time now. We're already on 1 hour and 18 minutes. So
yeah.
this
So let's
is
just end this
obviously,
here.
yeah.
This
But
is
no, hold on. I mean, like I just wanted to say, like this is obviously a very important topic, and just to anyone out there who's listening to this who also is like from the 90s or from the 80s, just talk about this with your friends. I mean, like just like throw it out there and like say like just ask them what were your favorite games, because it really is a very interesting topic to discuss, and you can easily like take half an hour or even more.
All right. So, guys, why don't you comment below? What the fuck was your favorite game and nostalgic shit to play in the 90s? And then, like, I want to know that shit. So, like, cheers. Leave a comment and subscribe to this channel. Share it with your friends or whatever, because like we're working hard to get subscribers and viewers. But
we're working hard to deliver all the content to you guys.
yeah, we are. So,
we're having fun. We're having fun.
Do that. And, So, be screwed or get screwed.
Peace out.
Peace out.